Hey, what is up there, guys? It is Rapmark here. So, I am back from my second viewing of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I had seen it first on Thursday by myself, and I had wanted to get the review out then, set up on Friday, but just work and everything, like, it's been a crazy week. But a friend of mine, a couple friends of mine, were going to go see it as well. So I decided to join them for a second viewing. And honestly, the second viewing was even better. Like, I caught so many things that I didn't notice the first time out, which I'll go into some of it in spoilers and, uh, but whatever. So yeah, that is why this is a little late coming out, even though I did see it on Thursday morning, I believe. Anyway, um, so what to say about this? This is honestly, it's not a comic that I was very familiar with. It was like something that was created in the 60s. And if you actually look at the comics, it's a little racist. So I think they did a very, very good job of changing what they needed to change, but yet still making it. Sorry, I'm having allergies here, but yet making it a very good story, very respectful for the culture, whereas the comic, in a lot of ways, was not. So, I mean, let's talk about the freaking characters, the actors. I mean, I freaking loved every single one. Like, they were all complicated. They were all relatable on some respect. I mean, even the villain, who played him? That was Tony Lang. Yeah, Tony. I'm not very good on the pronunciation of this, but Tony Lung, I believe. Uh, please don't kill me if that was incorrect. But yeah, he did a great job as the Mandarin, you know, and it also like Simu Simu, Simu Liu, uh, he did great as Shang-Chi. So, and Aquafina I thought was going to be much more annoying just from the promotional material I've seen, but she blew her part away. And I was actually surprised at how much the sister character was a way bigger part in this film than I had assumed it would be, as well as a bunch of other like tie-ins that I'll go into in spoilers, but just made me smile, made me laugh. It was amazing. Like, it was a full throttle, great cast, and they all did amazingly. It was sheer amazing. So let's see, music. Oh my God, it's it was very, like, I liked how it was modern, like club music, but it also mixed in a lot of like Oriental beats as well, and then a blend of the two at times. And the way it did it, like, every song, every piece of music, just I felt matched perfectly with what was being shown on screen. Captured a lot of the big moments. A lot of the action scenes had great music. Oh my gosh. And speaking of the action scenes, like, you they were so well choreographed. Like, you see a bunch of like the action movies, and you can't always like see you can't always see everything that's going on. It's kind of blurred. And if you really break it down, like if you're really into like breaking down shots and films and just like looking at scenes, there are continuity errors. But this one, like, everything was so sharp and crisp, and like slowed down, but it didn't look slowed down. Just the way it was shot and the choreography, it was amazing. It was like there were some fights that were literally like one I'll get into in spoiler. Like it was like a dance. It was yeah, it was beautiful. They did an amazing job with it, and just wow. I can't say enough good things about whoever both shot the film and whoever did the choreography because they were both amazing. And then let's go into the world for goodness sake. Like I mean everything from bamboo forests, moving maze, crazy mythical creatures, very oriental like you have just magical creatures and they used like Chinese for a good portion of the film. Like it was very they did every respect to the culture that they could, and yet it still was great. And I don't know where I read this, but there was an interview on like the house. One of the actors was talking about, I think it was Aquafina, like about her character because like she struggles to figure out her life path, which from her words is very relatable to a lot of Asian Americans. It's just like, what does society want of you? What does your family want of you? What do your friends want of you? It's a little crazy, and then and it's just so relatable. Yeah, it was. So like I said, it's probably not my favorite Marvel, but it ranks really high up there. Like I was massively impressed with this. It succeeded, like it kept you entertained the entire way through. There were plenty of action scenes, very good action scenes, well choreographed with great music and performances by the actors and actresses which just blew me away. I was thoroughly pleased and enjoyed this movie a great deal. So what do I give this one? I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. This movie was completely legit. It hit all the right beats. The only thing that I would say takes away from it is some of the CGI. There is some CGI, especially at the end, but I mean when you're dealing with there was nothing else they could do. You're dealing with like mystical magical creatures and to be fair, the CGI didn't look that bad. I mean, it's CGI, you can tell, but it 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 worked, and that's really the only thing that I can like take away from it. The final battle, as good as it was, and I did love it. There was a lot of CGI, so but I mean, other than that, the pacing was great. The action was great. The music was great. The performances were amazing. It just hit all the right buttons it needed to hit, and it made me excited to see more. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for me. This is a must see. If you are able to and are comfortable going to the theaters, you should see it in theaters. It's beautiful. It is amazing, and I would highly recommend it. So I think that is it for the just overall review section. I will be back for the spoiler section. So I will see you guys then. See ya. Hey guys, it is a Rapmark here. So here with the spoiler sections. So uh, I mean it starts off again explaining the Ten Rings and the Mandarin, but his real name is Wen Wu. So Zhu Wen Wu, and how he found the rings, and how he was only interested in power. But then what changed him is uh, finding Shang-Chi's mother. Like he was trying to find her village, um, because he had conquered a lot of kingdoms and toppling governments throughout history. And it explains like why you haven't heard of him before. Um, so anyway, he meets Shang-Chi's mother and what is his sister's name? Xialing, I believe, or Ziling, Zaling. Again, I'm trying my best. If I get it wrong, please don't kill me. I'm trying. But yeah, her sister Xialing. Um, so they're born of this. She has to move out of the village because the village elders were just like they their didn't want this warlord or whatever, this guy that found the Ten Rings. They felt that his past sins would destroy them, so she moved out to be with him, and then she's killed like by a group that he moved against. The Mandarin moved against. We're just gonna call him the Mandarin. Um, Years ago, before he met their mother, and they end up killing her, and that puts him into massive grief. He essentially trains his son to be an assassin. His daughter learns like she doesn't get trained because he can't stand to look at her because she reminds him of his wife. But she learns how to fight, and then Shang-Chi, he goes off. They find the man responsible for killing her. He goes off. He kills him. He doesn't let his friend know, and that goes into a whole nother thing. But yeah, so the kids run off, and that like there comes the whole motivation for this whole thing of the Mandarin. Like, is he going to be complete evil? And it's just like, no, he's just a guy that really loved and misses his wife, and a creature. What is it called? Dweller in the darkness. Uses the Ten Rings to convey to him that his wife is still alive and being imprisoned in the village. So he's not evil per se. He's just really racked with grief. He later admits like she was someone he that made him feel like he wanted to grow old, and obviously her death put an end to that. But yeah, so he goes off. But Shang-Chi, he goes off. He meets Aquafina. So what is he? He's like 15, and he becomes a valet driver. They're best friends. She's kind of nutty. And it take when it starts off, um, they're on a bus. Her family's giving her a hard time because she can't focus on anything. But they're on a bus, and he gets attacked by the Ten Rings, so his father's organization, and they're trying to get a pendant which his mother gave to him. She gave him one and his sister one, and that comes into play because that ends up unlocking a map, a water map, showing the route to the gateway to the village. Because the village itself is protected by a moving maze. But yeah, anyway, so after his attack, which was amazing, that bus scene alone was was totally worth the price of admission. You meet this guy named Razorfist, and he's just it's so he's it's so cartoony almost. Like he's a big guy, beard, has this big blade on his one arm. He has a ridiculous car. It's like this giant SUV that comes into later. It's just oh, but man, yeah, that fight was amazing. So that's where she or his friend, played by Aquafina, what the heck is her name? It is Katie. Oh yeah, and the village is named Taulo, I believe. So he goes to find. So in the process of the fight, he loses his pendant. He goes to find his sister, and that's in Macau. Uh, and finds out that she's running this like underground fighting ring. You see a bunch of people fighting cages, and some people miss this, but there is a Black Widow that is actually fighting in one of those lower level cages. Uh, and then you go into the main ring, which he signed a piece of paper signing him up to fight, not realizing what it was. So he goes up. He's going to be one of the main attraction because he's now known as Busboy by the by the interwebs. Oh my gosh, it was funny. Oh man, that is. And from there we go to hold on. Yes, we run into Wang. it was the best. So he's fighting this big like I guess like aquatic creature, and I get like my guess is it's fixed because it sounds like they. So he punches him. It's just like that hurts. You want to see what it feels like. He does his portal thing. The creature punches itself in the face, knocks him out in classic style. And then they're talking. But yeah, it's super fun. That was a really great way. So, again, tie in just that one scene with both uh, Black Widow. I mean, obviously Natasha's dead, but whatever comes next after that, the Black Widows or whatever, and then with Doctor Strange because of Wong, and he was amazing. He stole the show with everything. Like even side characters were memorable in this. Like the person who met them in the elevator. He was just so animated and so fun, and yeah, we loved it. All right, so after that they come, the ten rings, they come and they get his sister's pendant. I mean, she's kind of upset with her brother because he told her that he'd be back in 3 days, and then she ended up waiting 6 years to realize he was not coming back. So yeah, really rough on that. But anyway, so they get the pendant, and then they're captured. So they're taken by their father to his compound, and he wants to rebuild the Ten Rings to what they used to be. And that's where he explains to them that that's why like the whole plot with the Dweller in Darkness essentially using the rings to convey to him and talk to him that his wife is alive and being imprisoned. And really, it's just the Dweller trying to get out. So Shang-Chi is just like, this sounds so ridiculous because if they don't let him pass, then he's going to destroy their whole village, which is a little overkill. And so they refuse to go along with it, and so their father just imprisons them. Katie's with them as well. Imprisons her with the sister, and that's where they find. Sorry, Trevor. If you remember Trevor, he was in Iron Man 3 as this actor who was playing a role, owie, of the Mandarin. It it was so ridiculous. Everyone hated it. And they did apologize for it in the movie. Like they explained just how ludicrous, how dumb, how ridiculous this was. And even Wenwu, like he went into it as well when he's having dinner with his family. Uh, like how ridiculous it was. They're afraid of an orange dish. They're afraid of chicken. It was, oh man, it was fun. So they run into him, and he has this sort of creature. Let's see, is what is this creature? A handun, which has no face, but can get them, can guide them through the maze to get to the entrance to the village. So they escape. The sister escaped through the tunnels underneath the compound last time, so that's where they did. And there you go into another action scene, another chase scene where they steal Razorfist's vehicle, and it's just so ridiculous. Like his name is spray painted on it. It's just, oh my gosh, but it was it was a fun scene. It was an amazing scene. I loved it. So they get away, and then they're waiting for because they're trying to get to the village before their father does. So they're waiting for the maze to open. They're just like go, 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 and then stay in the pocket because essentially it like closes behind them, and then it opens in front of them. So if they don't, then apparently the force eats them. That's what it says in the movie. Like I don't know how that's explained. It's but they go with it. They almost don't make it, but then they break through at the last second, and they go into the village, and that's where they meet their aunt. They have a frosty reception by the villagers, but they meet their aunt, um, and they go through sort of a training phase. Aquafina's character, learns how to use a bow. It's just like if you don't aim for anything, you're not going to hit anything, kind of thing. There was a lot of Confucianism, like I believe tomes is what they're called, but don't quote me on that. But just sayings, I guess, would be better. We'll just call them that for stuff like that, like Buddhist, Confucianism, like sayings throughout that. And they use Chinese almost exclusively for this part, for a large part of it, I'll say. They did use English for a good portion of it, but I mean, I was amazed at how much actual Chinese they used through this whole section and just through this movie in general. There was a lot of Chinese used. But anyway, so he gets trained. It's just like you're not just who your father trained you to be, you're also your mother. And so he kind of opens up to that because he got some training from her when he was younger, when he was a kid. Um, and from that point, the father shows up, they fight. The first fight in which Shang-Chi goes against him, he gets sent into the water, knocked out, and his father goes to open the gate where the Dweller in Darkness and its minions are imprisoned because you find out that they attacked that world originally and killed a lot of people, and so they now guard over so it doesn't wreck not only their world but also the Earth world where all of us live, obviously. And so he starts punching it. All these soul suckers start to come out and start to attack, and so the Ten Rings and the people of the village they eventually realize they have to join up. At first they're resisting, but the Ten Rings realizes that their weapons won't do anything. It's all the dragon scale stuff that does things to them. And so they fight together. They fight off the first wave. The second wave comes. That's way better. They did lose a lot of people there. But anyway, the Shang-Chi is revived by the what is this dragon's called? Give me one moment. The Great Protector. It is an actual Asian dragon, and it looks amazing. Oh, and that reminds me, there were a lot of other creatures. I mean, you had flaming phoenixes here. You had obviously more of the creatures that I spoke of before, the Hundun, and lions. Like you'd see statues of lions on in some of the historical spots in China. You see some of those actual lions. They look really cool. Yeah, that the whole like fat last battle scene was great because everything's fighting, and yet everything looks so clean and crisp. Like it's beautiful how they did it. But anyway, so he fights his father a second time, and this time he's fighting more in the style of his mother, who is the only one who could really kick his ass. So like the whole way they meet is he goes to find it, they meet, they fight, and it turns into like this sort of dance. And he just keeps coming. He just keeps coming, and she eventually fell in love with him, and they fell in love with each other. So yeah, that's how they met. Uh, but anyway, back to the final battle. He eventually, the dweller gets so many souls that he's able to break through, and then it's going to attack Shang-Chi. His father saves him, like turns good at the last minute. I mean, he wasn't really bad if you think about like any evilness that was within him, like disappeared like when he met their mother. This wasn't him being evil. This was him being manipulated and just sort of just in his grief and anger, putting that through. So I mean, he was, but this is where he has his great redemption, where he saves his son, and then he's captured. And before the dweller takes his soul, he gives the 10 rings to his son, and so the son then uh, fights him, and then the dragon comes, the Great Protector, and is moving to trap him. But the second wave of his minions have gotten more souls, and they keep feeding him, and he's now more powerful. So he breaks free of the first one, and he's about ready to. He attacks and gets the upper hand on the Great Protector, and is ready to suck the soul out of him or her. I don't know, but out of the Great Protector. Uh, and that's where Aquafina comes in. She's been learning to use the bow, trying to get more focused, and her trainer actually gets his soul sucked out. And you think like she's freaked out, but no, like he goes for a distant shot, a long shot of the arrow coming through. hits it in the neck, saves the Great Protector, and it's Aquafina's character Katie who fires the shot that does it. And so with that, the dragon once again traps it in water, and then Shang-Chi uses the Ten Rings to sort of obliterate it. It obliterates its body, and that's the end of that. It was actually a super cool thing. And then you go the ending, they're they're celebrating, well, mourning but celebrating like the release of their spirits because they do the whole lantern thing. They finally is essentially letting their mother and father be at peace together, you know, um, in the world after this. So that was nice. And then it goes, they're with their friends that they were talking about that they went to high school with, who was giving them crap for not growing up. It's just like this epic story, and then they're just staring at each other. Her friends are just like staring at each other. It's just like this is freaking crazy, and she just thinks that they are giving her crap for what she said to them. And then Wang shows up. It's just like Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi, here, present. Just like you have the rings, follow me, and then drinks their friend's drink. it was it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. So they disappear. That's the end, and that's when you have the two post credit scenes. One is after obviously the more visual credits, and it is Denver's, so Captain Marvel and Mark Ruffalo. So yeah, Bruce Banner. There we go. After his time with the Hulk, and they're just trying to figure out where these rings came from. So, I mean, definite tie-ins on where this is going to go. Because I know that there's going to be, I forget which one it was that's going to have like the Hulk, not to mention series that are potential. Like, there is so much Marvel material coming out. And then the second one is Shang-Chi's sister actually takes over the Ten Rings, and I'm sure it's out now, but there are a lot of people who at first watch don't notice she got all the widows. All the widows from the latest Black Widow movie who are just like, what do we do now? She's the one who now has them. And why not? I mean, she has all the infrastructure, so why not take on some of the highest trained assassins in the world who already like have connections all over the world. So yeah, so much tie-ins, so much excitement. This was an amazing movie. So I think that is it from me on this. Again, 9 of 10. I love this movie. It was perfect. Well, not perfect, but it hit all the beats it needed to, and it just left me craving for more. So that is it from me. I will catch you on the next movie. So you guys have a good one, and I'll see you next time. See ya.